Welcome to Brute Facts Podcast, Epistemology Part 2, Belief. Belief. Roughly, our attitude when we take something to be the case or regard it as true. In epistemology, we are more concerned with when or how our beliefs are justified and when we can count them as knowledge. Belief is characterized as a propositional attitude. A propositional attitude is the mental state of having a stance, take, or opinion about a proposition. Generally, propositions are whatever it is that sentences express. If a sentence is expressed in two different languages and has the same meaning, then it is expressing a proposition. For example, whether one says Bella Vista or beautiful view, then one is expressing the same proposition. If one utters two sentences with different meanings, then there are two propositions being stated. So what is belief? There are three main positions: representationalism, dispositionalism, and functionalism. There are more, but we won't cover all of those here. An important note: the various models of belief tie almost directly into the philosophy of mind. I'm going to try and do my best to explain what these models of belief entail without invoking the nuance of these models found in the philosophy of mind. I highly recommend visiting Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy to see how these various models are presented and defended by philosophers of the mind. Representationalism. Belief just is the fact or proposition that is being represented. The fact or proposition can be stored in the mind and allow for access at a later time. The fact in question, or more accurately, a representation, symbol, or marker of that fact, may be stored in the memory and accessed or recalled when necessary. For example, borrowing from Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, when John learns that Pluto is no longer considered a planet, he acquires a new belief, a belief that Pluto is no longer classified as a planet. The fact in question, or better, the representation or symbol or marker of the fact, may be stored in a memory and accessed when necessary. In other words, the belief is the state of having such a fact or representation stored. At a later date, John reads a textbook, and in it says our solar system contains 9 planets. Involuntarily, his new knowledge about Pluto is called up from a memory, and he doubts the truth of the textbook's claim. Then there's dispositionalism. A proposition is nothing more than having a certain set of dispositions. Belief is not a matter of whether there is some deep fact realized somewhere in the mind. To believe something is to have certain behavioral dispositions pertaining to that something. For example, if an alien arrived on our planet and they appeared to be just like us, as in similar characteristics, as they carried on daily just like humans, we would say he probably has beliefs like ours, judging by his behavior, which is very similar to ours, or we're judging by his disposition. Functionalism. Typically, functionalism is in regards to mental states, yet some philosophers include beliefs. What makes a particular mental state are causal relations to the sensory stimulations, behavior, and other mental states. Some causal relationships, often characterized as belief, If P follows from Q straightforwardly and one isn't committed to the falsity of P, then typically one believes P. Directing perception to perceptible things with favorable conditions typically results in belief. For example, a red shirt in good light forms the belief it is red. Believing that to do A would lead to B plus a desire for B will typically cause an intention to do A. Believing P with sincere expression of that belief typically leads to the assertion P. Thanks for watching, and look for episode 3, which we'll be covering in epistemology, which is justification.